In the glass office at Tesla's Palo Alto headquarters, the afternoon sun filtered through the glass walls, casting a faint orange hue over everything. The rays touched the car models, the unfinished blueprints, and even the face of Elon Musk, who was staring intently at his computer screen. He sat there, his white shirt slightly wrinkled, and his tie loose, looking tired from a long day of work. As his fingers moved quickly across the keyboard, his eyes held his usual determination. He never paid attention to the time. But today, it felt like it was dragging on longer than usual. A crucial project for SpaceX was in its final stages, and all the data he was analyzing was the final piece of the puzzle that had been plaguing the engineering team for the past week. Suddenly, the office door creaked open. Clara, Elon's close assistant, walked in with a strange look on her face. She didn't knock like she usually did, and this made Elon look up immediately. "Clara?" Elon asked, surprised and a little displeased at the interruption. "Is there something urgent?" Clara didn't answer immediately. Instead, she walked over, holding a tablet. Her expression was gentle, but there was an unusual seriousness in her eyes. She placed the tablet on the table, then said softly, "Elon, you need to see this." Elon frowned. "If it's not about Mars or a global crisis, can we wait? I'm busy." Clara smiled slightly, but that smile couldn't hide her worry. "It's not Mars, and it's not a global crisis, but I think it might be more important." Elon's curiosity was piqued. He stopped, looking straight at Clara. "More important than Mars? Okay, let me see." Clara pressed the play button on the screen, and a video began. The image that appeared was of a young boy. He was lying in a hospital bed, his head bald, his face pale, but his eyes shining with an indescribable hope. In the background were the white walls of the hospital, decorated with childish doodles, rockets, planets, and the SpaceX logo. "Hello, Uncle Elon." The boy's voice rang out, small but clear, and something about it struck a chord. "I'm Leo, 10 years old. I like science, rockets, and the stars. I dream of going to Mars one day, which you're doing everything you can to get us to. But the doctors say I won't live long enough to see it." Elon sat up involuntarily, as if the boy's words were a blow to his mind. The video continued, and Leo smiled, a weak but determined smile. "I know I can't go to Mars, but I have only one wish. I want to see you, just once. I want to tell you that I believe in what you're doing, and that I'm proud to have someone like you out there, fighting for our future. Just a hug from you would be enough." The video ended, the screen stopping on Leo smiling. In the large room, the space suddenly became stifling. Elon was silent, his eyes glued to the screen. He didn't know what to say. And this was rare. He was someone who always had the answer to everything. But now he felt only emptiness. Where did this video come from? And he finally asked, his voice hoarse. "Leo's mother sent it through a charity," Clara replied, softly but firmly. "He has terminal leukemia. The doctor said he doesn't have much time left, and this is his last wish." Elon didn't answer. He looked out the window, where the evening light was fading, giving way to the darkness of the city. The night sky was filled with stars, something Leo would never get to see in its entirety. He felt a strange pain in his chest. He had spent his life dreaming of bringing humanity to distant planets, but now there was a boy who only dreamed of meeting him. A dream that was so simple. "You don't need to do this," Clara said, after a moment of silence. "Leo already sees you as a hero. I believe he will be satisfied if you know that he received his message." Elon turned back, his eyes sharp, but filled with deep sadness. "A hero is more than a symbol," he said. "This boy has placed his trust in me. I can't let him down." Clara was silent. She understood that Elon's decision had been made, a determination, but this time it came from somewhere else, not from the mind, but from the heart. Clara, Elon said, his eyes lighting up as if he had found a direction. Prepare the plane. We'll go see Leo. The sooner the better. Clara nodded, smiling slightly. I'll arrange it. Thank you, Elon. When Clara left, Elon remained seated, staring at the screen that had gone dark. He thought about Leo's words, about the magical power of the boy's faith. A boy with little time left to live. Yet he had the courage to entrust his biggest dream to a stranger. He leaned back in his chair, looking up at the ceiling. Suddenly, he felt a great responsibility weighing on his shoulders, not for billion-dollar projects, but for the small dream of a 10-year-old boy. And he knew that the journey to see Leo was not just a simple trip. It's a reminder that sometimes what we do isn't about the distant future, but about the present, about a person, a moment, a hug. Elon let out a soft sigh, but there was no fatigue in that breath. There was determination and hope. He closed his eyes, picturing Leo's face, the boy's bright eyes, and in that moment, he knew he had done the right thing. The California sky the next morning was as clear as a giant crystal. Elon Musk's Gulfstream G650 jet took off from his private airport, soaring into the sky in the early morning sunlight. On the plane, Elon sat silently, his eyes gazing out the window. Outside, layers of white clouds drifted by like soft silk ribbons stretching endlessly. He was used to non-stop flights, but this trip felt very different. Not like work, but like a journey to meet a small, meaningful soul. Clara sat not far away, her eyes flicking across the screen of her tablet to check her schedule. She knew this was not just a regular visit. Leo, the boy they were about to meet, was a fragile life, clinging to every last moment. Clara silently prayed that Elon's presence would bring something special to the boy. After more than 2 hours of flight, the plane landed at a small airport in the suburbs of Denver. A Tesla Model X was waiting to take Elon and Clara to the hospital where Leo was being treated. The hospital was nestled among green pine-covered hills, surrounded by golden grass fields in the morning sunlight. The building had a modern architecture, but could not hide the typical melancholy of a place to treat patients. The glass windows reflected the clear blue sky, as if trying to soften the gloomy atmosphere inside. Elon got out of the car, saying nothing. He quietly looked at the surrounding scenery, feeling the unusual silence. Clara walked beside him, holding a small document. When they entered the main hall of the hospital, the atmosphere immediately changed. Footsteps echoed down the long hallway, the cold white light of fluorescence illuminating the walls, which were covered with children's drawings, suns, rainbows, happy homes, and families. But they all had a rushed, lifeless quality. A young nurse, in a pale blue uniform, came forward to greet them. Her eyes were friendly, but there was also a hint of surprise when she recognized Elon Musk as the person standing before her. "Hello, Mr. Musk. I'm Emily, Leo's nurse," and she said, her voice soft but full of enthusiasm. "He's been waiting for this day for a long time." Elon nodded, unable to hide his contemplation. He followed Emily down the long hallways, each room echoing with the steady rhythm of machinery, the familiar sounds of a place where life and death intertwine every hour and minute. Leo's room was at the end of the third-floor hallway. There was a small nameplate on the door, scribbled with the words, "Leo, room 302, and underneath it, a crayon drawing of a rocket. Elon paused for a few seconds in front of the door, his eyes fixed on the drawing. He felt a pang in his heart, a mixture of pity and admiration for the boy's pure passion. Emily knocked lightly, then opened the door. The room was small, but filled with light from the large windows. The walls were covered with Leo's drawings, planets, stars, and lots of rockets. A cardboard model of the SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket sat on a small bookshelf next to the bed. On the bed, Leo was sitting with his back against the pillows, his face pale, but his eyes shining as he saw the people entering. "Uncle Elon!" Leo exclaimed, his voice filled with surprise and joy. His skinny hands reached out as if to touch him immediately. Elon walked closer, sitting down on the chair beside the bed. He looked at the boy, a rare smile appearing on his usually cold face. "Hi, Leo," and he said, his voice warm. "I saw your videos. I couldn't help but come and meet a big fan like you." Leo smiled a bright smile that lit up the room. "I didn't think you'd actually come. I just wanted to tell you that I love everything you do. You're my hero." Elon was speechless. The way the boy spoke, so simple yet so profound, made his heart clench. He knew that, in the boy's eyes, he was not just a businessman or a scientist, but a symbol of hope, of limitless dreams. The conversation was gentle, but full of emotion. Leo asked Elon about SpaceX's plans, about how rockets would be launched, and about his plans for Mars exploration. Elon answered patiently, sometimes drawing illustrations on a blank sheet of paper that Clara had brought with her. He told Leo about the villages he envisioned on Mars, about how we might live and work there. "What do you think?" Elon asked, looking at Leo intently. "Do you want to be a part of this journey?" Leo smiled, his eyes shining with excitement. "I would love to, but—" His voice trailed off, and a hint of sadness crossed his face. "I'm afraid I can't wait until then." The air in the room seemed to freeze. Elon didn't know what to say in that moment. He was used to facing great challenges, but the pain of a boy like Leo made him feel helpless. After a moment, he put his hand on Leo's shoulder, his voice warm. "Leo, you are already a part of this journey. Your belief and love for science, for SpaceX, is the driving force for all of us to continue moving forward. You are the greatest inspiration I have ever met." Leo looked at Elon, and tears rolled down his cheeks. But the boy was not crying because of sadness, but because of happiness. Elon's words touched his heart, soothed his fear, and brought a strange peace. Elon gave Leo a special gift, a miniature metal model of the Falcon 9 rocket, specially crafted by SpaceX. He also signed the model with the words, "For Leo, who always reminds us that no dream is too big, Elon Musk." Leo held the gift in his hand, his eyes sparkling with joy. He kept looking at it, as if he was holding the universe in his hands. As the afternoon fell, the sunlight gently filtered through the leaves outside the hospital window, creating pale yellow streaks of light that illuminated Leo's small room. Elon was still sitting by the boy's bed, talking about his dreams of conquering space. The boy, despite his pale face and thin body, still shone with unusual enthusiasm whenever he mentioned the stars and Mars. Leo leaned over slightly, reaching out to take a tiny object wrapped in tissue paper from the small drawer next to him. He opened it carefully, revealing a small star made of white clay, its surface speckled with pale yellow. "Uncle Elon," and Leo said, his voice soft but serious, "I made this star in art therapy class. I want to ask you a favor." He paused, his eyes fixed on Elon, as if to make sure he was listening. Elon leaned forward, his eyes full of attention. "Leo, just say it. If you can do it, I will." The boy held the star tightly in his palm, his eyes sparkling. "I know I can't go to Mars myself, but I want this little star to be there. I want it to touch the red planet in my place, where I've always dreamed of going." Elon was silent for a moment. In that silence, he sensed a strong desire, a pure love for science and space. He knew that this promise was more than just sending a small object to another planet. It was carrying Leo's dreams and hopes. "I promise, Leo," Elon said, his voice deeper than ever. "I'll take this star to Mars, and when our rocket lands, it will be there, helping you realize your dream." Leo smiled a weak but radiant smile. "I trust you, Uncle Elon." That evening, Elon left the hospital, clutching Leo's little star. As he got into the car, he couldn't stop thinking about the boy, about that bright, trusting gaze. Clara watched him from the seat next to him, noticing the strange look in Elon's eyes. She didn't ask, just silently drove him back to the hotel. The next morning, as the sun was just rising over the hills of Denver, Elon's phone rang. Clara called, her voice choked up over the phone. "Elon, Leo passed away early this morning." Elon didn't say anything, just quietly hung up. He sat in the hotel room, still clutching the little star Leo had given him. The feeling of loss hit him like a rolling wave. He was not an emotional person, but this time he felt Leo's departure as a hole in his heart. Sitting quietly at the table, Elon looked at the star. Memories of the boy appeared clearly. Leo's smile, his voice, and the hopeful look in his eyes when he talked about his dream. He knew that the promise he made to Leo was not just empty words. It was his responsibility, something he needed to do, not only for the boy, but for everyone who dreamed of a bigger, more distant future. That day, Elon called an emergency meeting with SpaceX's engineering team at the headquarters in California. When everyone was present, he walked into the room, still holding Leo's little star. He began to speak, his voice slow but full of weight. "Yesterday, I met a boy named Leo. He had terminal leukemia, but in his eyes, I saw the whole universe. Leo loved science, loved space, and had a dream that he could not fulfill on his own, to go to Mars. I promised him that I would take that dream with me, and today, I need your help to make it come true." The conference room was silent. Eyes turned to Elon, some touched, others surprised. Elon placed the little star on the table, then looked around. His eyes determined. "We will take this star to Mars on our next spacecraft." The engineering team got to work immediately. They designed a small compartment in the SpaceX cargo ship to hold the clay star. While it was not a big task, technically, it had deep spiritual significance for everyone involved. The star was more than just a small object. It was a symbol of faith, hope, and the determination to never give up on their dreams. Elon spent the next few days preparing for the launch. He also wrote a speech that he knew would be one of the most important of his life. He wanted to convey Leo's message, and that of all small but powerful dreams to the world. The day of the launch finally arrived. The morning at Cape Canaveral was bright and clear, as if the universe was smiling in support. The Falcon Heavy rocket, with Leo's little star in its cargo compartment, towered over the launch pad. The crowd gathered around, journalists, SpaceX employees, and space enthusiasts, all watching it. Elon stood at the podium, his eyes steady but still filled with emotion. He began his speech, his voice booming. "Today, we are not just launching a rocket. We are carrying a dream. The dream of a boy named Leo, who is not here to witness this moment. Leo gave me a little star and asked me to take it to Mars. It is not just his star, it is our star. Everyone who has ever dreamed of flying beyond the sky, beyond all limits." He paused, took a deep breath, and continued, "Today, we do it not only for Leo, but for all the children like him, who teach us that no dream is too big, no hope is meaningless. This little star will be a symbol of the human spirit, always moving forward, no matter the hardship or loss." The crowd fell silent, then the applause rang out, getting louder and louder. Elon stepped down from the podium, looked up at the rocket. When the Falcon Heavy lifted off, the roar of the engine shook the ground. Elon stood there, his eyes following the fiery column from the rocket's tail, feeling a strange sense of relief. Leo's star was moving away from Earth, heading towards the red planet. When the rocket reached orbit, the SpaceX team cheered, but Elon said nothing, just silently looking at the screen, displaying the spacecraft's trajectory. A slight smile appeared on his lips. He knew that somewhere out there, Leo would smile, knowing that his dream had flown high, far, and come true. Leo, the boy with the shining eyes and the little star, had now left a lasting legacy in the hearts of Elon and all who believed in dreams that transcended all human limits. Years later, Elon stood before the memorial on Mars, looking at the faded paper star. He whispered, "You did it, Leo. We did it." And somewhere, among the stars, Leo was smiling. Leo's little star, now, is not just on Mars. It is present in the hearts of everyone who has ever heard this story. A reminder that our dreams never end in the present. The things we do today, the aspirations we pursue, are all seeds that can sprout and grow far beyond ourselves. Leo's journey has ended, but the fire he lit still burns bright, guiding those who are willing to dream and act. From a sick boy to a great billionaire, their story reminds us that humanity can only move forward when each of us dares to dream and dares to make those dreams come true. So keep dreaming, and if anyone needs a promise, dare to make it and keep it, just like Leo and Elon did. That is how we make this world a better place, a home for endless dreams.